Shalom, shalom. Want to say all praises be to Abanawa Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Harakakodash. Give honors to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the sincere brethren, Akim out there across the four winds, the four corners of the globe, pushing the truth, the good news of Yahweh Shai, proclaiming salvation to the elect of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and proclaiming the downfall of Edom, the so-called white man and his wicked empire. So this is going to be a World War III update, video concerning Russia and America, which is really the two main players in this in the nuclear confrontation of World War III, Russia and America. And recently, within the past couple of days, there's been a spat between America and Russia. Donald Trump and Putin and the former president of Russia, which is basically the spokesperson for Putin, Dmitry Medvedev. And basically they're having a back and forth over nuclear war, man. You understand? That's why you see in Russia placing nuclear subs, positioning nuclear subs, America positioning nuclear subs, which I think America positioned nuclear subs first, because Donald Trump ordered that a couple of days ago for America to strategically position nuclear subs against Russia. And guess what? Russia doing the same. You understand? Preparing for what? Nuclear war, because Medvedev said, yo, Russia is ready. He basically said Trump better go watch the apocalypse, man, because Russia is ready to make that happen to America, which is ultimately all according to biblical prophecy. This nuclear war back and forth is all according to our biblical prophecy. This book of Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog. Can the land of Gog and Magog is the land of Russia. You understand? The chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, which is the land of Russia, which is a very vast land, the land of Russia. That's why Russia is considered Eurasia. It spans both Europe and Asia. And then these are the ancient names for the land of Russia: Gog and Magog, Meshach and Tubal. And prophesy against him, God, as ultimately the Lord is against Russia. You understand? The Lord using Russia to come up against America and to shoot nuclear missiles against America. But guess what? America is going to shoot missiles back against Russia. And Russia is not going to rule nothing, man, because Russia is going to be destroyed. It's not going to be destroyed to the level that America is going to be destroyed, but it's going to be destroyed too. It's going to be built back up, but it's going to be greatly destroyed, man. And the power structure of Russia is going to be destroyed. And more than likely, Vladimir Putin and his top men of Russia, the top Edomites in Russia, they going into what? Slavery under the Israelites, under Yahweh Shai. But nonetheless, the Lord is using them in this setup for World War III. And it's a beautiful thing, because it's big talk happening, man. They're speaking about what? The apocalypse, like you see down here, man. You see the nuclear map, man. Understand? And you see in the background what the nuclear war, the mushroom cloud. So yeah, man, all of this is preparing the stage for the day when the nuclear missiles are shot off, man, from Russia, China, North Korea against America. Russia being the main proponent of that nuclear war against America. And thus say the Lord, behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws. Con. Going back to what? Russia going back to that Soviet Union era, which Putin been the man to do that, going back to the year 2000. Because Vladimir Putin came into power in the year 2000, and he was what? Former KGB, yeah, which is basically one of the top military forces, basically like spy forces going back to the time of the Soviet Union. And he said the fall of the Soviet Union was basically one of the worst things in Russian history, man. And his goal since he took power in the year 2000 was to what? Build back up the Soviet Union, which is in line with this prophecy right here. Turn thee back. Go back to the ways of the Soviet Union. Because the Soviet Union was big as hell, man. It basically controlled the whole of Eastern Europe. Poland, all them countries. East Germany, Ukraine, all of that was Soviet Union. Georgia, Estonia, Latvia, all them countries, man. Lithuania, it was big, a vast land. And as Putin aimed to get back that vast land back, that's what this whole invasion of Ukraine is about. So all of this is playing into the prophecy of World War III. Over there in the European theater. But ultimately, it's the global theater for this, because they're going to be shooting, because like I said, Russia is the main country, the main opposition when it comes to nuclear armaments against America, man. You know, understand? So they're going to be the main one shooting the most nuclear missiles against America, man. Because they basically have, I think, the most advanced nuclear missile technology, man, on the planet. More advanced than America, more advanced than China and all the other different nations. So that's their role in this World War III. Ultimately, because they don't have the military manpower to come up against America in a forceful way without the allies, which is going to get into that, the different nations that's going to be joined to Russia. So their main thing right now especially is what? To develop more and more nuclear technology, to have that nuclear upper hand against America. Because they have what? The hypersonic missiles, nuclear missiles, so on and so forth. The Satan 1, the Satan 2. And in spiritual that is called Satan, because it's going to be used to wipe out Satan. Because America is the great Satan, man. It's the Satan, man. The adversary to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. The chief adversary to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai righteousness is America. Because these heathens are adversaries too. These rest of these heathens, even the rest of these Edomite nations like Russia, France, UK, these nations are adversaries too. But America is the chief adversary, the chief Satan, man. You understand? And the chief target of this World War III nuclear confrontation. So back in the book of Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Because hey, Russia been what? Developing his military too. And it's gonna get into it, but it's gonna understand like, yo, they're gonna need the assistance of these different nations, man. That's why they calling in what? North Korean troops over there in Russia to fight in Ukraine. They're using what? Iranian military technology, drones and stuff, so on and so forth. So Russia is bringing in its allies, man. Building that great military force against America. Ultimately, who's gonna have to be Russia's main great ally in this end time, in these last times? China, man. Because China have that big ass military, man. See, Russia have that great nuclear technology. China has that great, massive army, man. The manpower. So it's a beautiful setup how the Lord doing it, man. You understand? It's a beautiful setup how this World War III is playing out, and we're seeing the chess pieces fall into line. And ain't nothing gonna stop this World War III, because America talking big shit too. You know, America, I was like to say, is the best, biggest, brightest military on the planet. Nobody could stop the American military, so on and so forth. But guess what? The American military is gonna be decimated in this World War III, man, according to biblical prophecy. And what's left of it, that's gonna come up against Yahweh Shai. They're gonna be decimated even so much more, man, coming up against Yahweh Shai. Which that goes into the war in heaven, which is gonna be the militaries left on Earth after the nuclear destruction. In the midst of the nuclear destruction, they're gonna ultimately come together to come up against Yahweh Shai, man. And Yahweh Shai is gonna destroy them. Yahweh Shai and Michael Archangel, they're gonna vanquish them, man. That's gonna be in the midst of the World War III. So it's gonna be a lot happening, man. Sometimes we throw a lot of things out there, so to speak, but we basically giving you the overview. But in terms of the details, there's gonna be a lot of intricate details happening even right now. All of this is part of the details. This saber rattling, like they like to call it, all of this is part of the details of the World War III, man. The different geopolitical moves, the positioning of military, naval, because it is submarine, so that deals with the navy, different naval positioning. You know what I mean? Different allied ships happening, different even economic and political deals happening. All of these things plays into a part of the World War III setup and the World War III happenings, man. Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all that army, which is basically what the war in Ukraine is about. Russia coming back to that Soviet Union prowess. They also took over Georgia, I think, which is the country of Georgia, not the state. There's a country in Georgia, in Europe called Georgia. Belarus, that they basically a proxy of Russia. You understand? So Russia is building back and looking to build back that Soviet Union power, man. On Putin. And I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. As ultimately too, Russia is going to get involved in that ground war in the Middle East. Because Russia allies who? Iran, man. Russia is an ally to Iran. And we know what the scriptures say about the least of the flock, which is the state of Israel, drawing America into the World War III against Iran. Russia, China are going to have to step in. So Russia is not only going to have forces in Europe, but also in the Middle East, man, the Valley of Yehoshaphat. Because like it is rightly named World War III, the world at war. The different theaters, the different continents of the earth, man, is going to be engaged in a military conflict until it reached the culmination point of a thermonuclear exchange, man. You understand? Which by the time that happens, the elites they're gonna be in their bunkers when that's going on. A lot of these different elites of these different nations, Putin, Kim Jong-un, they're gonna be wherever in their bunkers, and then ultimately Yahweh gonna return, vanquish what's left of the militaries of the earth, and Yahweh 144,000. We're gonna go through the earth, enslaving. Capturing the elites of these different nations, putting them in chains, fetters of iron, and enslaving the rest of these heathen nations that's left alive, man, to build back up the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Yahweh Shai, man. So that's an overview of how it's gonna go down. Every intricate detail we can't get into that, man, because we don't even really know every intricate detail of how everything is gonna play out, but we know the overview. We know what we need to know, and that is that World War III is going to happen, nuclear exchange is going to happen. The elites of these different nations, especially the elites of Esau, Edom, they're going to go into their bunkers. We're going to dig them out of the bunkers after Yahweh Shai overthrow the militaries and the armies of the earth that's left. And then, hey, we're going to dig them out, put them in slavery, and the heathens that's left across the earth, we're going to enslave them, man. And they're going to be the first fruits of slavery, bringing back up the kingdom of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Which your first job is, like the scriptures tell you, is going to be to bury the dead that's been killed during this World War III, man, conflict, man, especially over there in the Middle East. So it's a lot, man. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful, because all of this represents the ushering in of the great kingdom of Yahweh Shai, the great kingdom of righteousness, the great kingdom of peace, the great kingdom of the rulership of the rightful rulers of the planet. So we welcome this, man. We welcome this nuclear positioning of the submarines, the nuclear submarines. you know, you have these different commentators. They don't really know. They don't really know what's going on for real, man. They don't really understand or fully understand. Yeah, they might know a thing or two, but they don't understand like they fucking going into captivity, man. Like you have this guy, I think it's General Keen. He don't understand. You going into captivity under the Israelites, man. Cause yeah, he's an Edomite, man. You understand? They don't understand that, yo, the gravity of what's happening. They just think, oh, Russia doing this, we the great America, we have the greatest military. Russia ain't gonna do shit. Nah, it's gonna come a day, gonna come a time, which we in them times where shit is gonna really kick off, man. And it's happening slowly but surely. Shit is gonna kick off for real, for real. And it ain't gonna be no turning around. It's gonna be confrontation upon confrontation until ultimately leading to what? That nuclear exchange, which is what Medvedev was going into. He's like, yo, the nuclear missiles are already set up in Russia to go off automatic. You understand? That's what he said. He said the nuclear missiles in Russia is set off to go automatic, you know what I mean? If need be. Ultimately, that's the Lord. The Lord put that spirit upon the Russians to set it up that way, man. It's a beautiful thing. Back in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, verse 5. Persia, Ethiopia. Who's Persia? Iran. So that's part of the allyship of what? Russia. Ethiopia, Kush, and Libya, another Hamitic nation, all of them with shield and helmet. Goma and all his band, the house of Togama of the north quarters, which Goma and Togama goes into what? Turkey. And right now, currently, Turkey is what? A NATO nation. But we understand the majority of the NATO nations, the 10 horns, they're gonna hate the horn, they're gonna turn against America. You understand? They're gonna turn against America. And you can already see it, man. I mean, especially Turkey. Turkey always playing both sides, man. You know what I mean? Erdogan, you already see him joining up with Russia. And that's going to happen because that's biblical prophecy. Let me read that again. Ezekiel 38 and 6. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togama of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for that. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a God unto them. Come, because Russia is going to be a God unto these different nations, and they're going to be a God unto Russia. The allyship, man. So that's what this World War III is going to be, man. The clicking up of different nations, man. And also the disintegration of the whole NATO empire. Because like I was saying, Turkey is ultimately going to, according to prophecy, have to join up with Russia, man. And then the rest of the native nations, according to Revelation, they're going to turn against America. They're going to hate the whole. And they're going to shoot missiles upon America. France, UK, those different NATO nations have nuclear armaments. And that's so, hey, man, like I said, man, it's a lot, man. When you get into the details, it's a lot. But the overview is that, yeah, them NATO nations, even them, they're going to turn against Babylon the Great America. You understand? Now, we know it's going to happen because it's according to biblical prophecy. And it's a beautiful thing. I'll just wrap it up with this last verse. Ezekiel chapter 38. Verse 10. Thus saith the Lord, power, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. Come. What's going to come into the minds of the kings of the earth? Putin, Kim Jong-un, you know what I mean? Even the different NATO leaders, Macron, Prime Minister of England, China's president, they're going to think that evil thought to what? Unleash them nuclear missiles, man. That's why these things are happening, man, because the seed is already being planted. So that when that time comes, it's like, yo, fuck it, man. Let's get to the bunkers and let's let loose these nuclear missiles, man. Let me read that again. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 10. Thus said the Lord power, it shall also come to pass that at that same time, talking about in the midst of World War III, the heat of it, at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought behind. And that evil thought is going to be what? To shoot them nuclear missiles, man. And like I said, all of this is planting that seed. They're thinking that evil thought is already there. Yeah, man. They could see themselves shooting missiles upon America. America could see themselves shooting missiles against these different nations, same way, man. Russia, China, so on and so forth. So, hey, these nations, the seed is already planted for them to want to annihilate each other. It's just for it to what? Come to fruition. Hey, so with that, hope this was edifying. Hey, this is good news for us, brothers and sisters. Any news towards the nuclear confrontation with America and these other nations, chiefly Russia and China, is good news, man. Is a news that signifies the closer return of our great King Yahushai. So with that, going to say all praises be to Abba Noah, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Harakak, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders of great millstone ruled well, and shalom to the elect. Kwame Yashala Abad Baba.